Good afternoon, everybody. We'd like to talk about football today, but first we're going to mention Wave, our sponsors, our new concept with taxis and SFI, Sports Fund Initiatives, and of course the Grosvenor Gloucester Road Casino who are hosting the afternoon for us today. Thank you very much, everybody. Well, right onto the football, Alan. We'll start with you first. The results last week were unbelievable. Man United, first of all, get hammered by Spurs 6-1. Any excuses?
Well, it was, to be perfectly honest, I didn't watch the Villa game because I was a bit wary that the score might be the other way round. And you told me the following morning they won 7-2, and I'm still trying to understand it. The three results you've got marked down there, you know, it was a bookmaker's dream, wasn't it? If you're a bookmaker, you've absolutely wiped the floor.
Well, we get our £20 charity bets from SFI, and the three of us, we're 0-3 right now. Yeah. I mean, who could predict 6-1 Spurs? Yeah, they maybe could win there, but 6-1. I thought United were all over the place. I just felt that, like, you know, I mean, Shaw could have been sent off. It could have been a real bad. I mean, Spurs could have been 8 up at half time. Yeah. I mean, it was that bad. What do you think? Did you watch it, John?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I mean, you've got to give Spurs a bit of credit for utilising the extra man. But at the same time, it depends how deep you want to go. What I used to do, like in terms of coaching, and you're talking about the supposed elite level, every now and again, what you should do is throw in a little curveball for the players. Keep them mentally stimulated every day, as far as I'm concerned. That's how I used to work. Now I used to operate, and I used to, right from kids all the way up, I used to say to them, work and hope for the best, expect the worst. From a manager's point of view, if you expect the worst in terms of like you go a man down like United did, I was very, very disappointed how they set up with regards to trying to shore it up and make sure you keep the game a tight game. But that's not taking anything away from Man United. And in a lot of similarities in how they defended it, the way Liverpool defended.
Yeah. Yeah, no, all in all, it was a real bad day for United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, position? You think he's still going to be in a job in 2 or 3 weeks' time?
I think from word go, he's not the right man for Manchester United. He's got a job through Alex Ferguson.
I think on the back of Mourinho was having such a bad run, the players weren't playing for him. Whoever got thrown in to be the next manager would have a little lucky break that he'd revitalise the team, they'd all be energised wanting to play for him, and that's what happened with Solskjaer. They won all their games.
I mean, it's a long time ago, but they've never recovered from Alex, have they? And he's kind of left them a dodgy team, and they haven't improved. They've made some terrible signings. They haven't improved from one manager to the next. Van Gaal was an absolute nightmare. Yeah. They brought him in, and he won European Cups, and he'd just been to the World Cup with Holland, the manager of Holland. And I never forget because something stuck in my mind because Van Persie was playing at that time for Manchester United, and Van Persie's got that fantastic guy in the World Cup and run over and jumped on Van Gaal, and he was the new Manchester United manager. And I thought these two are going to be, really
connect. Yeah.
And he sold him right after the World Cup. So it's Manchester United have got themselves in terrible trouble, and I don't think Ole's the answer by a long way.
I mean, we spoke about it recently, John, in the past. Obviously, centre halves defending, they've got to do their job. Now, the big thing the weekend was Maguire looked ordinary. We then go to Liverpool.
I'll go stronger. I thought he got shredded. Seriously, and his theory, anyone will think the three of us know what we're talking about. He mentioned him the week before about is he worth that sort of money, 85 million. I thought he got shredded. The point I wanted to make earlier
is he got beat too easy. They turned him too easy. Well, he got left like cemented to the floor.
Yeah, when I spoke to, I think it was last week, we mentioned it because we covered quite a lot of areas. We covered a lot of ground. I said he looked very vulnerable down the side. If they could just tick the ball down the side of him, and double basic under 14 stuff where the geezer for one of them he just got his body in, which if you're coaching you teach that for a centre forward, body in first,
just spinning, turning, and go.
But what the point I wanted to make them very quickly is catering for the worst case scenarios. You should always drill a team if you go down to 10 men. this is what happens if we go down to 10 men. And that didn't happen. And in the end, for me, it looked like it was a virtual capitulation. You know what I mean? It's not
So-
often.
We go to Van Dijk, Liverpool. Like
Yes.
all of a sudden,
Yeah.
Virgil looked.
I've got mullered on
Grealish
social media.
slaughtered him.
I've got mullered.
Nutmegged him. He done things to him that,
Yeah.
like, you know, This is why we beat
happens,
the drum of Grealish, because
Yeah.
we know that he's got the ability. That, like, he's not a stereotype. He does things the way he wants to do them. He's unpredictable, and he tore him to bits.
Yeah.
Don't you think, Al?
Well,
I mean, we're in his '1 fan club. There is no doubt about
Oh,
it.
Van Dijk.
No, Grealish.
Oh, Grealish. Yeah.
Well, we
Virgil's good, but
we
like,
started banging the drum a year ago, and when everyone said he can't do it at that level, he's done in the Championship, he ain't strong enough, and he's proved everybody wrong. And what we must do is you got to give the Aston Villa manager the full benefit, mate. He made him captain. He built the team around him. He said, "You're our kingpin." And this is what he's got to be for England. He's our best player by a million miles, and we now got to realise that and build a team around him. Give him the captain's armband and say, "Lead us," because we ain't had a great captain for so long.
I mean, the way I look at
A
him,
leader.
the way I look at him, he glides. He runs with the ball and he glides. He's in, out, stop, push, go, little ones. He's got the complete game.
What I liked about him, Don, is he punished. I was going to say, I've got a little bit of stick on social media. So I thought to myself, how long does it take you to work it out? I was actually tweeting as I was watching it, and then it's nice to have your opinions confirmed by the one who get paid mega money to do the punditry on Match of the Day. What I said on social media was, I couldn't make out after the first couple of goals what is Liverpool played such a high line. Because like, as I
Well, when
said,
it's not working,
when you
people
drill,
ain't
like,
doing their job.
but when you're being drilled as a back four, you one of the things is like when the mark players went to mark space is the session. But like when you're drilling, like being drilled as a back four, I was being drilled as a centre back. If there's no pressure on the ball, you just drop off and assess the marking and give yourself half a yard in case it's clipped in behind. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And what it was, they kept playing the eye line, and after about the third goal, you think to yourself, who's getting a grip here?
I mean, Jurgen has said they all had a bad day
Bad
at the
day.
one time.
What is it, 5 in 80?
Well, I guarantee you
they've lost 5 in 80.
Yeah,
So
but I guarantee you that they all had a bad day at the same time.
Yeah.
Next week they play Everton at Everton, they'll have another bad day, unless they change that round.
Yeah.
Everton will score 3 or 4 against them
they're
next
on
week.
fire, aren't they?
You know, there's no doubt.
But if you look at it, that scoreline doesn't make any sense at all. Villa couldn't score 7 goals in the entire.
Well, there's no one in the Premier League can score 7 generally.
Well, it was
No,
their main
They
problem.
scored it against the Champs.
Last year it was their main problem because they flirted with relegation all year, didn't they?
Yeah.
Because they wanted.
I mean, they've gone to Fulham,
It was
and then
all saying
3-0
this
or whatever it was.
The interesting thing is about how they're gonna come out of this. As Don says, they're going to Everton, and they couldn't have gone into a bigger match than what this is going to be. How they're going to react and respond. Will Manny be back? You know,
Everton are playing with no fear. They're going to play against them for the first time in a Merseyside derby and be thinking, hey, we can pound these.
It's the first time they've played for years. They've been above them.
Yeah.
I think Alan's area of the field has been addressed forever. With some unbelievable, like great signings. They hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And they're basically bossing things at the minute.
So I think Liverpool really, I mean, Jurgen, we all, love him as a manager. He's infectious. He's a leader. He gets them all going. He just must be totally mesmerised today. I mean, when they play next week, I wonder what the team talk's going to be before the game. Well, forget last week. Let's get back to normal business and play the way we play. Henderson comes back in. Don't get knocked about in midfield. You know, like the Villa game, McGinn, Barkley from Chelsea on loan had a big game. It looked like they've all been playing together forever. You know, Villa could have scored more goals as well. I think Jurgen, all of a sudden,
he'd do one of them, Don. He'd put it down to a bad day at the office as they do.
I think it was worse than a bad day at the office.
But you don't need no telling. It was Liverpool, Everton. You know what I mean? Like it's like Arsenal, Tottenham, Millwall, West Ham, Chelsea, any other London club.
But I also think, to be honest with you, these games, when you're getting a hiding, when you're getting smashed to bits, this is where the crowd not being there is an awful, awful thing. If the crowd are there and you're getting beat 2-0, you're chasing every ball, you're hitting them, they're winding you up, you get up and go again, you don't generally let it happen.
Well, in theory, that couldn't happen with a crowd, could it? Not at Anfield.
Well, can you imagine? It just wouldn't. I mean, imagine Villa scoring 7 against Liverpool, like Watford beating 3-0 last year, the only team to beat them. And the fans were going ballistic. So imagine Villa getting 7. The whole end would be going absolutely nuts. They probably would have got 10.
I know before the game, I read saying before the game, saying this game at Villa Park, we wish we could have had a full house today because and they've done that with nobody in the ground.
I mean, can you imagine everyone in the pubs like 10 years down the road? God, remember that day? We've done them 7-2, the champs, we could have got 10. All them things have been taken away now because, we're not allowed to go. But from Villa's point of view, great start of the season. Liverpool, obviously, a hiccup, a major one. And I think we've got to go on to your team, which you don't like that much, West Ham. What result that was at Leicester?
Yeah, it's still early
3-0.
days.
Come on, give the Hammers a bit of
still early days.
I like the Hammers.
No one see that.
Good footballing team. David Moyes, well done, David. You better stay at home though and let the other fella keep in charge.
You don't know what way to take it. I mean, he got a bit of stick. The thing that Pep said when Leicester done City 5-3, said they can't defend.
Yeah.
after
They weren't bad on the break.
That's right. So I suppose.
Well, remember the first day Don and I walked in, we looked at the betting, and it was odds on Man City 2-1 Liverpool, 14-1 Bar.
Yeah.
And you look at the league table now. All right, there's 3-4 games gone, but it's told you that this year, from being 25 points ahead, Liverpool played last week as if they're still 25 points ahead.
But I think all the guys in the league now, everyone now, there's no fear. Anyone who's going to play anybody, whereas before you might think get 10 behind the ball, just have one up top, quick break, link up quickly.
That theory.
Now they've got a little bit of belief that they can beat the Man Cities, beat the Liverpools. The others haven't been existing.
Yeah, people have been saying on that theory with regards to what you're saying, playing with no fear is a consequence of not having the crowd on your back, not having any crowds here.
Yeah,
so that's the flip side of that coin you're talking about.
I mean, them 2 results there: Man United, Spurs, 6-1, home team gets beat. 3-0 West Ham, home team gets beat.
But Leicester the week before have gone to Man City and won 5. And
that's
what
done for Alan.
So this away,
it's double.
Thanks, John.
the Palace done me not scoring. But I mean, that's how it goes. So let's go onto the national team. Played the friendly against Wales.
Yeah.
You watched the whole game, John.
I did, yeah.
What did you actually think of it? Grealish, first of all. Let's talk about Jack the lad.
I thought the attitude all round from every player that took part was magnificent.
We started a bit slowly, didn't we? Apparently Wales had a little bit.
It's like we've all played the game. You go, what I mean? You don't go out and start throwing your best punches from the off. They're feeling each other out a little bit. He confirmed everything we said about him, Jack.
Do you think he'll play, Jack? Belgium tomorrow?
He's got to. You can't.
How do you think he will?
Listen, what kind of message will it send?
Yeah,
off the back of a performance like that, if he don't pick him.
We want Grealish.
You know our charity bet?
Yeah.
Our charity bet later on. I'll have an England the odd goal. Both teams to score, but England to win by the odd goal, but only if Grealish is playing. That's how
you give Paddy a
that's how much belief.
I can't see. I think he's gonna bring the old school back tomorrow because he's going to be frightened of Belgium. This is a perfect game for Jack as well against a good team like them. Because the bigger the game, the bigger the stage, the bigger Jack will play, and he should be playing tomorrow. But I've got a funny, strange old feeling that this fella's going to leave him out and go back and try and grind a result out. That against Wales. Forget that against Wales because Wales might well be playing a white hart, a red line. Let's be fair about it. I mean, I could read the Wales team out here and you'll be bewildered.
It was like 2 sort of reserve national teams playing. It wasn't all your top boys out there.
Well, Wales were a reserve team. They only had Bow and the lad Ramsey missing on. That is a Wales team. They're just no. Them Scotland and Ireland are the 2 Irish teams. I mean, forget it now. They might grind out results against Israel and all that, but
No. Tell me what you thought then, John. I watched parts of the game. I didn't watch it all, but the one thing that I got out of the thing, out of every game I've seen on TV, without no crowds, that was the most eerie thing. Wembley Stadium, massive, nobody in there, everything echoing. You could hear the people shouting. And when we on the positive side, like Calvert-Lewin scores header first game, Danny Ings bicycle
I
kick.
scored that one.
You reckon?
I put it on.
I think John would have got
put
that.
it on a plate for him.
Yeah, our man Jack the lad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Danny Ings gets a nice goal. Those three have all scored on their debut, and I don't think any of them will start against Belgium tomorrow.
Have it right. He made the first one, and he won the free kick that led to the second one.
Yeah.
So what's got to happen is he rose to the occasion in terms of like being given a start, played from the off. Now what they've got to do is put him in with all due respect to Wales, like Alan's saying, Ireland, Scotland, both the Irish teams. With all due respect to them, put him in against Belgium. And let's see whether he rises to the occasion again against supposedly, in inverted commas, better opposition.
Well, Belgium are favourites for the game, slightly, at Wembley. Obviously, no crowd. 6-4 Belgium, 7-4 England, thereabouts, 5-2 the draw. Southgate. Been put in a bit of a position by these young lads all messing about, breaking the COVID stuff. The two boys in Iceland, he's left them out. Now we've got the other three. He's left them out.
Yeah.
And what is it with these young guys?
I
don't mind them having a Bentley or a Rolls Royce driving around or in a Ferrari, but hold on a minute,
I can't really.
They're accountable for everything they do now.
Yeah, they are. But
in our day, we can do what we like.
One of the
too much money, mate. Yeah, too much money. They've. We were talking earlier on. I was mentioning about Bobby Moore. About putting the country first and how proud he was to lead the team out and whatever, and always give your best for your country. He was a far better player. See, there's international players and club players, and Bobby Moore, same as Alan Ball when he played for his country. Bobby Charlton, these people, but you don't get that no more. These players.
Brian Robson, you like?
Brian Robson was probably the greatest captain, apart from Bobby Moore was, the best we've had. And I only really see that in Harry Kane. When Harry Kane puts the England shirt on, he looks apart.
Set of pride, yeah.
Yeah, and he leads a life. I mean, he's superb, Harry. But it seems the others, do they really?
Is it down to management? Is it down to management saying, "Hey guys, look, you can't be doing this"? Like you, Sir Alex. Sir Alex would have stood for this.
It wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened.
It's that era, though, isn't it? It's that era. Like it's such a thin dividing line between.
But they're five players. Those five combined.
I can't really talk.
In the next,
I got caught in a pub on a Friday, so I can't.
I haven't got caught on a Saturday morning. Nothing wrong with that. But no, those five young guys, they're our future.
Yeah.
They're going to be England players. They're going to have a big say in how we do in the years to come. So hopefully it's just something they've done now.
Well, as much as anything, it's social awareness, social conscience and social awareness. When everybody else, like the rest of the country, can't do this, can't do that, can't do the other. Different places in the northwest are getting locked down, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they should have taken that a little bit into account. And, I don't think they did.
No. Man United, getting back to them briefly. A little bit of pressure on Solskjaer to get a couple of players. He got Cavani in, and he got a left back in, what was his name? Telles from Porto.
Yeah.
Obviously, Luke Shaw looks under pressure the way things are right now.
Yeah.
Barney ain't played for 3-4 months. He's obviously got the COVID restriction right now. I mean, how haven't they gone and bought a big player for 70, 80, 90 million? Their fans must be just looking and saying, get something.
But they got him because he's a free transfer,
Yeah, I mean, he's at Paris Saint-Germain or whatever, and I think he played 13 games last year or whatever it might have been, but he's got a big reputation.
Or should he imagine?
But he's not ready, surely.
Well, Chelsea done that a couple of years ago. They were buying these players and bringing these players in from Spain, and they got big reputations. But they got here, and it was all about, they must have, not been like Tommy Baldwin and Charlie Cook down the King Road, but as if they would have been down the King Road all night, They just didn't perform. They weren't good enough. And it seems at Manchester United, they're paying big money for these players. And has the other fella gone off the ball? Fernandes, has he gone off the ball?
Well, it does seem that Fernandes and Pogba just really, when they first come, he looked like a match made in heaven for a minute. Now all of a sudden, it's a bit of a nightmare. Fernandes has lost form. If he wasn't taking penalties, his stats would be like, whoa, where's he gone?
Yeah.
And Pogba, well, I'm not a fan of his. I never have been since he's been there. He's not really produced regularly, And a little bit like the Palace boy we talk about, Sahar.
Yeah.
Why hasn't he gone to a big club? Yeah. I'll tell you why, because you haven't got the consistency. When they played Chelsea last week, where was it? You know, that's what these young guys have got to do.
It gives off.
They've got to be like Ronaldo, do it week in, week out. Yeah. Then you get to where you want to go.
Picking up on the signings there.
Yeah.
What we know from being inside previously, I should imagine they've made a lot of attempts to sign players or approach clubs and got a knockback.
Well, they're the prices all the time because they know they're desperate to have something. So what was 70 mil is now 90, and United saying we don't want to pay that. Yeah. And so therefore it's a standard.
Well, they put a ceiling on the Sancho deal, didn't they?
Yeah.
That obviously fell out a bit.
But from United fans, one of the biggest clubs in the world, it's not good enough. They need players. Well, and obviously 6-1 at home, it's telling you right away you need players now.
Yeah. And something else as well. I mean, we spoke about it, and I know it's a very, very touchy thing. The thing with Rashford, you know, I don't think Ferguson would have allowed him to do this thing with the school.
The lunches.
It's just been announced he got an MBE this morning.
He got an MBE this morning. Well, he should be looking to get an MBE for playing football, because that's what he's paid to do. Yeah. He's not paid to do. If he's doing school runs next when they're training, you know. I mean, let's be fair. What is the kid trying? And he come over this morning. He's a terrific kid and all that.
No, he is a nice guy. It is refreshing that someone in the game could be thinking about it.
You know.
But he's got to be scoring goals for United.
Yeah, I think
he got one the other week.
Imagine what you would have said to him if you'd have marked him the following week. How did you do at school this week?
Yeah,
how many lunches you get, you know. So he's going to go all this. If he wants to do that, put his name to it and get someone else to do it. But he should be concentrating on his football.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's earning a lot of money. And last season his performances weren't good enough.
Yeah, it goes quick.
I mean, I like him, but as you say, the priority is your football.
Yeah,
and then anything you do after that don't affect your football, but can help people, it's great to do it. Talking about money, we all like money. What was that? No, we're all in the same boat. The Premier League's decision to allow Sky and BT, to screen matches in October and charge £15 or $14.95 precisely.
That's 15 quid, isn't it?
I mean, what are they doing to the fans?
Yeah.
How can that be allowed? How can it be like, a temporary arrangement will go to the end of October?
It's taking the mickey, that's what it's doing.
They're paying for their season tickets in the Premier League and not getting their money back because they're saying, it's deferred because of COVID, we're not sure how it's going. Yeah. They're already paying for the subscriptions for Sky or BT. So now they're paying extra. It's like watching a boxing match where you've got pay-per-view. Yeah. They'll be doing it every week. They've got to stop this. The fans should be watching that for nothing. It should be brought out. The country should just say, no, they don't pay. They're not allowed in the ground. They haven't been allowed in the ground long. 6 months?
We did say, didn't we? But when this all came about, when the pubs were closing, everybody else was closing and things had changed, people are going to start taking liberties.
Well, they're going to force them. The pubs are closing at 6 o'clock or 9 o'clock or whatever they might be doing. Now. So all of a sudden, you're going to be sat in your house. You want to watch football. You've got to pay 15 quid. It's not right.
What might be a good idea, we spoke about it briefly before we come onto this feed. What might be a good idea is all these clubs that are a gnat's whisker away from going to the wall, is if some of the money filters down.
Well then you might say, well, fair enough, if 15 quid's going to them, they've had the meetings which the other week the Premier League knocked back and didn't sort of show up regarding bailing out Division 1, Division 2, some of the championships.
Further down.
They've elected not to show up, put it back a little bit. Now they're slinging this in. So if you want to sling that in and say, well, $14.95, well, okay, everything that's paid, give a fiver's worth to the fund,
further down
a balloon payment to all that.
Yeah.
Who knows? They might get 1 million people watching it. 5 million goes into the lower leagues, and it could build up. Then I think at least people could sort of say, well, we don't want to pay it, but at least some of it's going to keep the game alive.
Calls, keep it going.
When they done the vote, out of the 20 clubs, 19 rubber stamped it, and one club said no. The one club that said no, fair play to them, Leicester City.
Yeah.
Wow.
Reportedly Leicester City. So I presume it is.
Yeah, and rightly so.
The Football Supporters Association have said they hope the Premier League rethink it and just basically come to terms with what's going on in the country right now, i.e. the COVID, the restrictions, the lockdown, So what do they think people are going to do when they go home? They're telling them not to mix with people, not having big groups around your house, this, that, and the other. So make sure the football's on free and the people can watch it and enjoy it. And
well, I listened to him very briefly, Joey Barton on the radio yesterday. He's won a minute, and I think he's right. I don't understand why you can't allow, a 50% capacity with his social distancing and have the ground half full.
Well, apparently the England-Wales game was put on for sort of the rerun of getting people into the games. Obviously, it didn't work out because everything was then banned. But things like that, you just think, well, just put 5,000-10,000 in there or something. Yeah. 10,000 at Wembley, it's nothing spread around. Yeah. So I think they've got to have a little look at it and sort of work out sort of which way they want to go.
Reassess it, definitely.
England-Belgium, big game tomorrow. Yeah. 5 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah.
How do you see it going, John?
Oh, like I said, if Jack plays, what was interesting to me was hearing a few interviews, bits and pieces yesterday. One of them was Wilshere,
right?
The other Jack.
Yeah.
So it's not so long ago that he was part of Roy's setup and he was coming and getting off the back foot. Now I've got a theory.
Yeah.
Because I think as a coach or a manager, it's your duty not only to coach your players, but to protect your players. And if you coach your players well, protect your players well, by version, you're protecting the ball. Yeah. What Jack's got to do, and he's got to concentrate on Jack Grealish, that is make sure that he don't end up a carbon copy of Wilshere. Because as a defender, I know as a defender, and this has caused part of the problem with regards to Wilshere's injury record.
Yeah.
I've got a theory whereby if it was the likes of me and you, if you're going to have a whack at him, right, have it right.
A bit more class in that.
All right, well, good luck to you, right? But what I'm saying is, if I think this geezer's going to cause problems, I'm going to have a whack at him. Right? I'll take him out in his half where he's going to get the ball.
Yeah.
So you've got the centre circle, but the centre circle in his part of the field.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You don't mind giving a free kick away from there. Yeah. You have a look at Jack Grealish the other night, the amount of free kicks he won. And 10
he's got the record in the Premier League for free kicks.
Well,
it was highlighted the other night.
I mean, he can buy the foul. He is good at it. When they're coming in, he rides it and he goes down. And the refs sometimes don't even really want to give it, but it is a foul.
Right. So what I'll be concerned about is making sure he gets the longest career that he possibly can.
That won't happen. What happened?
You don't
what
think
happened
to
Jack? What happened to Jack Wilshere? What will not happen to Grealish? Grealish is too smart. He's too smart. He goes on the field and he has his socks half pulled up. And he walks out and he invites people. If you want to come and kick me, come and kick me. Yeah. I'm here to be kicked. He's ready for it.
Well, he teases them. He brings them in.
He's a fabulous ability. And if you're a manager, you encourage him to do that.
Yeah.
Don't stop doing that.
But I like to see him mix his game up a bit, Al. There's times to suck him in and share the ball quick.
Yeah, John, he's a 25-year-old. He's only 19, really. He's been in the lower leagues. He's been in. Yeah. They've all doubted his ability. Yeah. It took a manager to come along like Dean Smith and make him captain and say, "Now go out and prove it." Now you're in the Premier League, and he can't do it any more than prove what he proved against Liverpool last week.
It's imperative that he gets the ball in the right areas in terms of doing the maximum amount of damage.
Well, that's all down to the manager.
You've asked me, in a nutshell, if he's playing, I'll fancy us to nick a result against Belgium by the odd goal.
So why don't Southgate take the lead and just play him? Everybody wants him to play. The only reason he is obviously not picking him is he thinks, well, he's not really suiting my system. I want him up, I want him back, I want to make sure I'm got me midfield in front of me defence.
Part of what I was hearing.
Which we know we don't get someone else to do that.
The reason he don't pick him, Don, is we know as the years gone by, we've seen all this before. As the years gone by, England managers, and especially this fella's FA through and through.
So conservative.
He just wants them midfield players who are going to do a job for him. For years and years and years, we haven't picked the Mavericks, we haven't picked the players. Jack, he's a throwback to the old days, this kid, and we haven't seen the likes of him for so long, and he's come along, and Southgate don't like him because he can't tell him what to do. Where he can tell others what to do. He can tell midfield players, I want you to do this, Henderson, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, I want you to do that. But with this fellow, he can't tell him what to do, and that's what managers don't like. If they can't control you.
That's what it would be. That's what it would be. Southgate would be thinking it's organised chaos to pick him. I don't know what's going to happen. What's going to come in. Well, we all know
We
that.
know he's a match.
Everybody knows it.
You can't see that when you look at it in terms of the placement of players around him. You can get players to do the bread and butter stuff around him.
Well, I used to.
It's a bit detrimental. I mean,
Don't put yourself down.
Don't get the ball. Give
it to someone. Yeah.
Jerry.
But going back to what you said to me yesterday, a lot of people forgot he only got picked because of COVID.
Yeah.
It was a little bit like Gascoigne, throwback to Gascoigne. He only got thrown in the last minute with Bobby Robson because there was a couple of injuries in Italy, and he turned out like Jack's doing now.
Yeah.
But this kid was left out of the squad. A couple of lads went down with the virus, and he got pulled in the last minute. He still weren't going to play him.
Yeah, you don't have
And
to
then he
convince
brought
me.
him on
You don't-
sub.
listen,
Never
the same
fixed
way
it.
you two have been thing with social media and you've been beating the drum for him, I've been beating the drum at the same length of time. Like in actual fact, in terms of my opinion, I've even bollocked him on social media when he's let himself down. You know what I mean? Because I'm saying to myself, like, you know, if I try and think still a little bit like a coach, try and think still a little bit like a manager, and you'd have him in and you say, look, let's not waste this time because it goes like that.
But Alan said it loads of times, and it's true. Any team you play, at any point, if you're under pressure, just get the ball to your best player.
Give it your best player.
And once you get it to him, off you go, Jack. Off you go, Ballsy. Bum, bum, bum. And you know they keep the ball. Like, look at when you're talking fouls. You imagine you've won. You've been pounded. You get the ball to Grealish.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's beat one. They brought him down. Thank
Nice.
God.
You
You got
get
a
a
minute's
breather.
rest in.
You get a nice
Yeah.
breather.
How many players could do? Again, it was Wales, but how many players could do what he done for the first goal? He got the geezer. He's got the fullback.
It's just so natural.
He
Burned across him, though.
Stood it
But
up.
The right weighted pass, you know.
Calvert-Lewin's first game,
Yeah.
he was standing there. He didn't even have to move. It was like waiting for a bus.
Yeah, well, you can criticise the marking, but yeah.
Well, yeah, because he's Wales. But the original,
Obviously,
the
Belgium.
initial.
The technique.
Yeah.
Well, he stood it up.
If it had been,
But I think he'd have done that against any fullback.
oh,
the way he done it.
absolutely,
And he whipped the ball in, which was
Well,
like
he stuck it
had the
through.
right pace on it. Beautiful part. It wasn't a panic cross.
No.
You watch a lot of other players; they get there and it looks like they're really working double hard to do it.
Not many
He's
people-
just got the natural
Yeah,
movement.
and he did it to that Van Dijk last week. Not many
Oh, my
people
God,
can
yeah.
embarrass
Nutmeg
Van
them
Dijk.
and up
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
Barkley and
yeah.
scored. What about the game then? Come on, who's going to win? Let's tell the viewers out there. Hope you're enjoying it. Who's going to win?
I think England have gone on a bit of an up. I'd back England to win because you don't know what team Belgium are going to play. You don't know. You really don't know who's going to turn up with Belgium. 18 months ago, 2 years ago, they were rated in the top 5 in the world.
Yeah.
But they've never really done it on the big stage. So coming here, it would be a tough game for Belgium tomorrow.
They're
England-
jogging on at the back. They've got the power. They've got the pace and the power up front of each place.
That's the fact. They look at the importance of this trophy and they say, do we want to win this trophy or we?
Does anyone know what the Nation League?
I have
What
no.
are we doing?
They used to be called.
I mean, Europa will be good next year. What happens next year with this?
I don't care if it's a
Well, yeah,
five-a-side in the
absolutely.
gym. I don't care if it's a five-a-side in the gym. I want to win it.
Young John's very competitive.
Yeah.
Always have been. Always have
Well,
been.
we'll have a father side when we leave there. We'll see. Over the red line.
Well, let's finish off today. I'm going to talk about QPR for a minute or so. You talk about one of your old teams.
If you insist.
Who was your best one that you played with?
What in terms of my
Who
favourite
did you
time?
enjoy most?
I enjoyed all of them. But I'll be honest, it didn't last long enough. I had a fantastic 18 months at Millwall.
Yeah.
And the best man.
Was that the Lions Den or?
Yeah, the old den. Yeah,
Oh,
the old
right,
den. Yeah. And
A bit intimidating that, yeah?
not for me.
No,
Not for me.
He was one of the Lions.
I'll be honest with you. I said it like because I got crucified at Chelsea. I had 14 first team games at Chelsea. I was 18, 19. I had 2 dodgy ones, and I got
Right.
crucified. Whereas
Yeah.
like the people above me, before me, had put the club in that position. You understand? As in the relegation zone. So all your established pros and all the ones that got promotion under Eddie Mack, who thought they were rock stars and film stars and all that, they're the ones that put the club in that position. You can't ask an 18-year-old centre back to come in and save the day.
Well,
You know what I mean?
you can't blame the players, Joe. It was the directors done that.
Everything.
It was the
Every-
directors done that.
It was what they call, I think,
What
the
Don's
cliches
asked-
of
what Don's
it's a
asking
perfect
you,
storm.
What was your highlight at the bridge?
At the bridge.
On the field.
on the field, there's a couple of things. One was making my debut. One was coming on at half time. We was already 3-1 down.
Did you get a goal anyway up there?
I played really well. I used to score for fun in youth and reserve, but not in the first team.
No.
And
who's the best player you played with, John? There.
Who I played with.
At that time, was it 1980?
Yeah, 70, 78, 79. Like Ray Wilkins. I'd say he tried to help me as well. Ray, Ronnie Harris. He gave me a great education. David A. I thought he could have played anywhere. He had Brazil to Brazilians in '74.
Getting back to Millwall, I've got to tell you something. I played at the Den one day, right? Imagine this. It was one of them days they had an energy strike and it was an afternoon game because you couldn't use the floodlights. I think it was the most terrifying thing that ever happened to me in football. They got a corner and the ball came over and there was a bit of a scramble and it sort of half bounced just before the penalty box and the 6-yard box, and I'm going out to head it, and Barry Kitchener, he'd be about 6 inches, a foot bigger than you, I should think.
Yeah, he was.
He tried to do an overhead kick.
He was a beast.
And I've got to try and head it out, and he's done this overhead kick. Oh, man. Thank God I go out.
I just said, all I could say, what I said in my books, I felt I was determined it was never going to happen again, whereby I was going to let anybody affect me.
Yeah.
And what happened was, when I went to Millwall, I was lucky in the respect that I got off good start, hit the ground running, scored on my own debut.
Fantastic.
Yeah, got a little. We got a free kick wide of the 18-yard box and a few yards in from the byline. And I've jogged up, looked at Nicky Chatterton, who another one, very underrated player, fantastic. The polar opposite of some of what I experienced at Chelsea, actually, because you get your head up and no one wanted the ball because it was that we were getting beat week after week after week, and everyone's going on the missing list. Nicky Chatterton would come and demand the ball off you, and I talk about quirks of fate and bits and pieces like destiny and and he was a high flyer at Palace. And then, they'd let him go to Millwall, and he was like, a dream teammate.
So you had a good time?
I looked at him, give him the eye treatment. He's whipped the ball in. Head, neck, and shoulders, crash.
Oh,
corner. Yeah, the gaff erupted like one of the European Cup. I said in the book, I said, if you can't play for Millwall supporters, you should be playing football.
Absolutely.
And
getting on that now, I know that you got a real soft spot for Stoke.
Yeah.
You had a good time there, didn't you? Tony wasn't your man.
I did have a soft spot on it. It was my life. I changed my life. But for all you Stoke supporters who remember, they had the best manager in the history of the club. They had the best team in the mid-70s, and I mean the best football team. We were top of the league at East, so we could have.
What was Jimmy Greenough like?
Jimmy Greenough was.
You played with a lot of good centre forward, Ozzy and all them.
He never got an England cap. That before Revy got the job, and even when Revy got the job, he had no chance then because he sold him from Leeds in the early days. But Greenough was an incredible player. Me and him were like twins, we were telepathic over the Stoke fans would say. But that period at Stoke, we would have went on to win the league, and we'd have went on to probably win the European Cup. That was because he had it in his head. Our manager had it in his head. And he was great friends with Brian Clough, and he kind of thought, if you can do it with Notts Forest, I can do it with Stoke. And he was that good. He was the greatest manager. And more than that, he saved my life.
Yeah, brilliant. I know, like every footballer, you always follow your old teams.
I'll come up against him. Imagine being 19, Doc.
Yeah.
And the front two for Man United, Joe Jordan and Jimmy Greenough.
You better be good in
all
the
of that.
Big Joe's coming in the fight.
Oh, that's all right. We drew 1-1.
I remember
one of my best games for Chelsea. That was
talking about sort of Stoke in the past. They've gone up and down, up and down, up and down. O'Neill, the manager now, he seems to, they had a good win in the League Cup away. They do seem to be getting it going again, and they're good fans at Stoke, aren't they? They're very boisterous, loud,
the old fans. I mean, they've still got a good crowd. Up until 2 or 3 years ago, they were still getting full houses.
Yeah.
And Pulley's done a great job there. But then the chairman and maybe.
You think Bet365 should throw a few quid in?
Oh mate, they should.
The money that woman's earning is terrifying.
Unbelievable. I said earlier.
Put some money into the boys at Stoke. Get them back in the Premier League.
If Tony Waddington was a manager today, he would knock on the door at Bet365 and say, "You better put some money back in this club," because these fans, when they like the old fans up north, they would come down. been down the pits all week and
Yeah.
all that. And you know that Stoke, remember years ago we used to do the fixed odds?
Yeah.
They were the only team in the league that kicked off at 3:15. And everybody, I remember everybody in Chelsea, I was a kid, everybody in Chelsea used to wait for their result to come through. And I never knew till I went there what it was. We used to go in this pub called the Star for Life, where some of the players would go on the way to the game. And they would kick off at 3:15 to let all the miners
Get
and
out
all
the
them
pits.
come out the pits and have the extra quarter of an hour to have a couple of pints to clear their throats to go into the ground.
Right.
And the FA knocked it on the head, so that's it.
They had to kick off at 3 o'clock.
But that was
different
why they kicked off 4:03. But they looked after the fans because
Yeah.
that was the only thing to do in Stoke, you know, play football. I mean, the fans,
It was that old snooker, wasn't it?
well, no, it's darts.
Darts.
And they got a couple of brothels now. They're moving up in the
Well,
world.
that's a bit of action at least for the boys. That's good. Well, my old team, QPR, we watched them here the other week on the old stream. I thought there was a couple of nice, the keeper, I thought Dieng done well. The KF, the right back, looks a bit of a prospect. We nicked a draw at Sheffield the other day. I thought it was 1-0 at Sheffield Wednesday. We watched it and all of a sudden we scored in the 95th minute. Normally it's the other way around. We concede one. So that was an happy start. But we're all like sort of thinking what's going to happen next? What happens next week? Is Boris closed this down? Is football coming back? What, as in with the crowds. So hopefully we've covered most of the things today.
Yeah.
Everybody out there, hope you've enjoyed the show. From
Get
Don,
the crowds back.
John,
Get
Alan.
the crowds back.
Get the crowds back. Stay safe, everybody. And we look forward to doing another show next week and hopefully you'll tune in.
Well done, Don. Well done, mate.